Hey everybody, welcome to LAF Tech, which stands for Learn About Funny. My name is Brian Trendler.
Marcelle Allen.
We are the founders, and we are so happy to be here today.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop, exactly. That's
or
like the
bloop bloop.
It's more of a bloop bloop. People, you have no idea what's going on because this is one of the scariest segments we've done because we're going to talk about sound. It's actually the second of the 6 methods that we teach in mini workshops in the pretty much the local Bothell area, but we've also spread out into Seattle and in a number of other places over the last 2 years. We're teaching people how to use humor in their everyday, in their business life, as entrepreneurs, as employees, as managers. So whether it's business or pleasure, we want people to use humor and become better communicators. So
because if your message is important and you're super boring, we're not listening anymore.
You're right. You're absolutely right. You are actually up to 7 times more memorable if you use humor. And that's either because they're trying so hard to forget you or they're trying so hard to stop laughing because what you've done and or delivered is just top notch. So Marcelle, we're going to go through the benefits of sound in speeches or presentations or your daily conversations because, again, like I said, this is the second of the 6. We recently did scene, and now we're talking about sound. So let's kind of go through it. What are some of the benefits of sound?
So number 1, character development.
Yes.
It really sets the stage for personality and traits and oddities. So what are some of your favorites that you do, Brian?
What are some of my favorites? For anybody who knows me, for some reason, all of the voices in my head, they tend to be like old Jewish characters that are trying to like nag me or make me feel guilty. So it tends to be one of those things of, you know, I'll have a conversation with someone or I'll say hello to a stranger and that background voice is always, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? You know, so there's always that type of voice. And yet, anytime I'm trying to bring a point across, you know, in like a presentation format, I'll just, depending on the moment, I'll just launch into something that seems to be fitting, whether it's like, oh my God, that's the best voice ever to get a point across, or it can be something very serious and very drawn out and very direct if you're trying to reach a certain moment, or if you launch into a Sean Connery and talk about sweaty balls or something. I have no idea. Yes. But no, it really does. Anytime you're using sound in a presentation or just any speaking engagement, because it's funny inherently, character development is almost the end product. Especially if you're going to be using that person, that voice, that imitation throughout, because then if they're very dull and drawl and boring, you literally have to prepare yourself for the audience to like dial back exactly every time. Oh, wait, are you actually yawning at me right now? Or, you know, so they're ready for that personality and those traits and or maybe any of those little odd things that you do from a gestural standpoint to fit that character or that persona that you've created. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
Okay, so what's number 2?
It sets you apart from other speakers.
Okay, here's the killer thing. We have all listened to and watched the most boring speakers on the planet, haven't we?
It's so bad.
It's really bad.
And I'm guilty of it too, and I know it.
We all are. You know what? No, but you know, that's a really good point because even polished speakers out there have those down days, and I think there should actually be a law and an app that physically electrocutes or shocks them if they hold up their phone and videotape. Oh, I just dated myself there. Videotaped. If they film themselves up their nose with the camera, holding it vertically and not horizontally, and they're boring as heck. Plus, once again, whether it's someone's graduation or some type of a presentation that they're up on stage and they're just not dynamic and they're not using voices to sell cars or, but wait, there's more and Ronco, set it and forget it. Whatever the case is, they're not memorable.
Yeah.
If you use those voices, if you use those imitations or sounds, really just the sounds are pertinent, it sets you apart from other speakers. You become that dynamic person that they want to have back.
And I want to put on top of this, the people who are doing Facebook Live right now, I commend you and I applaud you. And sometimes I just swat it away like a little mosquito on my phone because, well, you're now in the entertainment industry. So congratulations. You're not just your guru, expert, whatever you are, but you have to entertain us. And we're distracted creatures. I'm highly distractible. So
You're distracted right now.
yes, but I just stand apart if you're doing live because
Congratulations.
that's your responsibility to
You're
us.
live streaming. Stop sucking. That's the worst thing.
Or just come to LAF Tech and we'll give some encouragement.
Yes. We do have mini workshops every Tuesday night in the local Bothell area and soon every Thursday night. But no, that is a really good point. People forget that if you're not likable, especially if you're doing things like live stream or even posting content on a regular basis, if you're not likable, if you're not funny, if you don't have a kitsch or something that identifies you.
It's not even likable though. I
Yeah.
have a lot of friends who I like doing live and there's other things I would rather learn from or be entertained by.
Ooh.
And that's the challenge they have.
You should call them out.
No.
Or maybe just call them up.
Maybe I should do that.
And say, listen, we need to have an intervention. This is a circle of friends. This is a positive place. We're having an intervention because you're horrible. No, that does happen a lot, though. So why don't we cover number 3, Marcelle?
All right, you don't have to try so hard to be funny when you're using sound effects. Right? Is that what you said? You look.
Yeah. When you're using sound effects, when you've developed a character that has his or her own voice, you don't actually have to worry about being a joke dropper to develop that humor. Because one of the things, especially if any of our listeners have partaken in any of our bigger quarterly sessions or workshops, one of the funniest things about trying to be funny is watching people try to be funny. Most often it looks like they're having a polite seizure up on stage.
We
because
flop through it like a fish out of water.
Exactly. There's a lot of uncomfortableness. There's a lot of weird places they put their hands or anything along those lines. But guess what's happening? They're developing those characters. So if they're doing something awkward every time they start to try to talk like Sam Worthington or something along those lines, Sam Worthington, that's Sam Elliott. Doesn't matter. If the laughter comes from the imitations or the voices or the sound effects, that becomes the joke. That becomes something that you potentially get known for.
Yeah, it's just engaging, entertaining.
It's a huge benefit behind sound. It gets people to stick with whatever you're talking about, too, unlike this podcast. All right, how about number 4?
Helps to easily set up scenes or support stories.
Yeah. So if you said, there I was walking down a park someday, or one day. That'd be weird if it was someday. So there I was walking down a park one day. You might think about going, whatever, putting in a bird sound.
Was that a whistle?
It was a small child
Bring back the hummingbird.
playing the flute in the background, serenading the local bird population. It was that bad. But no, it's one of those things where any of those sounds that you can use to talk about the chirping sounds, the grasshoppers, the birds, the squirrels, the dogs, if you're meowing or barking, whatever the situation is, it again helps build that visual rapport with the audience. Because from the previous podcast, we were talking about scene. If you set the scene right off the bat, you can use those sounds, talk about the sound it makes when you're walking through gravel, the crunch, crunch, things along those lines. Again, all of these sound effects, they are used to help build and support the story or the scene that you've created.
So real quick, can you overdo it with sounds?
You can definitely overdo it with sounds.
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
It's hard to know that balance.
Well, and that's a really good point. It comes with practice. Because if you just get known for being the dork up on stage that does 20 different imitations of some sort, and there's no meat and potatoes, there's no actual content or relevancy, then it completely defeats the purpose. Plus, one of the things that we've taught in LAF Tech is that you can use humor to diffuse situations. You can use it to diffuse even relationship problems. You're not going to want to sit there and imitate pig sounds or whatever when you're talking to your significant other. That's probably not going to go over too well.
But you might make your friend laugh if they just had a heartbreak.
Well, exactly. And again, those skills can be applied. Absolutely.
All right. How about number 5?
Number 5. So, sound is best used with a purpose. Don't just fill the space with sounds or imitations for the sake of doing so. That pretty much beckons back to exactly what you just asked. It's really, really important to practice. One of the key things about sound, how's this for funny, is how it sounds. So if you're practicing, we all have the most powerful tool on the planet normally in the palms of our hands. Take your phone, record your sounds, play them back and listen to them. Help refine those sounds that you use either to develop a shtick or to populate some kind of a story or fun or funny presentation, so you're sure that they're coming across the right way.
So should we all have like 5 or 6 sounds that we can pull from at any given time?
Yes.
All right, T-Rex.
Yes, that was a T-Rex / raptor
you guys had to have seen it for the full impact.
Partially eating Chewbacca at the same time.
Oh, bring Chewie out.
Yes, absolutely. Bring Chewie.
Chewie.
I think Chewie's hiding.
Where is he?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's like waking up.
He's having a bad day.
All right.
What's the point behind that? I have no idea.
Do your little kid voice, please.
The little kid voice? I've used that one most often when using my family and stories, because, like, my little son, he'll just look up at me, and he'll bat those eyes, and he'll say, "What's your motivation for doing that, Daddy? That was stupid." Right? You just kind of get in that little place when you create some of those voices. I think I told you once how my daughter one time in the back of the car as I'm taking her to daycare, she started just crying. And out of the blue, she was like, "I'm done with men." She's just done with men. And she was just done because little Jake stopped talking to her at the playground. And she was immediately done. And then she said that she was ready to date short, fat, bald men.
Where'd she hear that line?
I don't know, because she's 6 years old. She shouldn't know any short, bald, fat man.
Well, and I think we can pull a lot of inspiration from children. I know my nephews the other day, we were jumping on the trampoline, and the little one, he just pulls out dinosaur voices like, rawr, like, I can't even do it, but just epically loud and disruptive noises.
Yeah.
But sometimes just hanging out around kids more can help.
The childhood innocence is not something that can be denied in any way, shape, or form. Plus, we can all take lessons from children too, because half the funny that we've experienced is because we spend half the time blocking ourselves. We spend so much time refraining, if you think about it, in this politically correct, annoying freaking planet that we live in now. Exactly. If we just politically not meant to offend said some of those things that we were thinking, there'd be a lot more open slappings. But there's content there. There's content that people can play with and have fun with, especially if it's in a safe environment like LAF Tech, or just a work atmosphere where people can work on and develop those types of things. And sound can be key.
Ryan, do you want to know my funniest sound experience way back when?
Sure.
So this is right after Chi Talks, which you and Omar put on, and the Toastmasters group. One of the speakers, he says, "Just do gibberish." And so my friend and I, who drove down from Anacortes that weekend, we drove all the way home, like a 90-minute drive, just doing gibberish in the car. And we were just like we were just backing and forth, just making each other laugh. And we were experimenting with these funny, placement of where our lips were and like how we grind our teeth and just different things.
Yeah.
And I should do more of that because I need to get out of my comfort zone with sound, I think.
And for what it's worth, I've heard you get stressed out over times, and you actually melt down into a level of gibberish as well, because we've all done that. When you're like,
I go
And
really fast.
and that makes sense too. So
yeah, completely.
exactly. Okay, so those are the 5 benefits of sound that we wanted to cover. We hope that anyone listening will use, I don't know, maybe 1, 2, 3 of these to your benefit at some point in your speaking or communication career. We'd love for people to leave us notes or messages. You can find us on social media. LAFTECHNW. Just type that into any browser. You're going to find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, or our website. Marcelle, do you have anything you want to leave our audience with today?
Just have fun, and I hope to hear some more funny sounds from everyone.
There you go. We cannot wait to laugh with all of you. Thank you for listening, and next time we'll cover story.
Story time.